Hello, so my name is Bryce. Um, just want to tell a little bit about myself here. I had a fairly good upbringing. My parents became Christians when I was fairly young. I grew up going to church and attending many Bible camps and youth groups. Throughout my childhood, I always had a natural ability with sports and was fairly active. Till about grade 4, my parents pulled me out of the public system and put me into a Christian school, Saskatoon Christian School. And by the age of 12, me and my friends started smoking cigarettes, and that was the beginning of the vicious cycle of drugs and alcohol. At the end of grade 10, I was able to convince my parents to allow me to leave the Christian school and attend a public school. And while in the public system, I now started smoking cigarettes and marijuana on a more regular basis. And eventually I would upgrade to the more intense drugs. And ended up skipping classes, became a regular thing. I ended up graduating just a few years later than I should have. A few years later, in my 20s, my parents had bought an acreage, and after about a year helping them get set up, I decided to move back to Saskatoon with four of my best friends. And it was most likely a bad idea because the house that we were living in was known as a party house. While we were living with that party mentality, my drinking and drug use would only get worse. Eventually, I was able to kick the drug habit because drugs were really never my thing. But the drinking would only get worse. And as my drinking got worse, I continuously felt compelled to just watch sermons on YouTube. So I just ended up doing that one randomly at times. And that was just God randomly just always being there trying to pursue me. And I'd always ignore him. Jump ahead into my 30s. I ended up moving out of that party house and rented a room from one of my best friend's dad for fairly cheap. And I honestly thought it was going to make things a lot easier. Getting older and getting out of that party scene. But no, the addiction only got worse. So eventually I had to move back in with my parents. And while I was living there, I was continuously living with a vicious lifestyle of living paycheck to paycheck. And just pretty much a dead-end job. I wasn't going anywhere. I had no ambition or no drive in life. And throughout my working life, I told myself I would never let my addiction interfere with my work life until it did in my work life. I ended up getting a new job too, even that was closer to home. But even with this new job, I was continuously showing up to work either very intoxicated still from the night prior, or I even got to the point where I'd always have a bottle in my car. I couldn't go just throughout my day without having something going through my system. It was. I always knew I needed help, but I always ignored it. And eventually, with this newer job that I had, my boss gave me a warning to kind of smarten my act up, but I ignored it and continued it on. So he ended up letting me go for my job. And that was one of the turning points in my life. I knew I needed help, but I'd still kept fighting it. Throughout those years, I'd tried to quit all my own and was never able to. Until I got invited to go on a tour bus to actually go to Ottawa for that Freedom Rally. And that was one of the turning points for me that I really feel God was just more or less woke me up to how much help I really did need. Because I could just see how everything was going in society and whatnot, just being there in Ottawa. I could really sense the good and the evil. And so it just really woke me up to all that. And on my way back, I had applied to Teen Challenge a few times in my past. And on my way back from Ottawa there, I actually got a call saying that they'd had a bed available for me because I'd applied many times over the years. And so I finally decided enough was enough. And I agreed. I took the earliest bed they could give me. And March 7th of 2022 last year, I walked and entered Teen Challenge. And I ended up just surrendering to God and gave my life back to him. And I actually ended up graduating just from there just recently on March the 3rd of 2023. And so upon entering Teen Challenge, my whole view on life has been changed. I now have a renewed kinship with God. He's the center of my life now, and I'm really excited for everything he has planned for me. I no longer fear what my day is going to bring him. And my fear has been replaced with faith. I'm now excited for what God has planned for my life. And now I'm going to just actually, I'm not even leaving the center for what he's done for me. I'm going to stay and do an internship there and just be there and help my brothers because it's a really good program, and I just want to just start giving back and see where, not rush out and see where God's going to lead me in life. And a verse that really helped me along with that was Galatians 5 verse 1. It is for freedom that Christ has set us free. So that really spoke volumes to me. Thank you, and God bless.